Hello and welcome to the No Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald. With me, co-host Sheldon Kaufman. It should be episode 19, I believe. Or episode 20, counting the Eastern Conference show. This is the Portland Trailblazers episode. Any Trailblazers comments?
They're shitty. That's all I got. Let's get into it, Pat.
Yeah, so obviously this is the show where we talk about every team. We give them their own episode. The Trailblazers last season in 2024 were not good. First year without Damian Lillard. They rolled into the year thinking they would have Damian Lillard. They gave Jeremy Grant his extension with the mindset that they were going to bring Damian Lillard back. End up not bringing him back. They get a solid haul for Dame. A big part of it was DeAndre Ayton. We'll end up talking about DeAndre Ayton later. So the roster was not set up for a rebuild. Besides, they still drafted for it to be a rebuild. They ended up taking Scoot. That was a big reason for Dame leaving. I think the main rumor was trade that number 3 pick for Paul George, or Dame's probably going to want to go. They ended up not doing that. Dame ends up leaving. Ultimately, what resulted, it was a bad team that was not set up to rebuild. Like, the players on the roster were not rebuilding type players. 21-61, last in the Western Conference. They were tied for third worst in the league. And then we'll talk about it later. They fell in the draft lottery too. They had the 4th highest odds, or tied for 3rd highest odds. They fell to 7. Really tough. Expected record 20-62. Not much more light than their record. It's actually a tad worse. At home, 11-30, not good. On the road, 10-31, also not good. Pre-All-Star break, 15-39. It's actually a little bit better than you would think. Post-All-Star break, they really turned on the tank breaks. 6-22. Versus the Eastern Conference, they were surprisingly not too bad, 13-17. But versus the West, 8-44. In clutch games, they were 17-20, and then in other games, they were 4-41. So a lot of blowouts there. Any record stuff at all?
They're losing a lot, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not good. We'll go into the numbers. Negative 9.2 net rating, 29th in the league. And on offense, 108.3 net rating, 29th ranked offense. On defense, 117.5 net rating, or defensive rating, 23rd. So horrible on both sides of the floor. 30th in transition offense, it was dead. Typically some of these rebuilding teams at least have some good athletes and they're good in transition. Portland wasn't. Their half-court offense was not good either. This is almost as bad as the Pistons one. I think the Pistons defense was the one that had like a 21 percentile total. This is slightly better. 28th in pick-and-roll ball handler efficiency, not good. 5th highest frequency. They're running it a lot, 7th percentile overall. They're running it a lot because they have a lot of these younger guards that they want to prioritize development for. And they're just young guards, they're not good yet. And it really showed in their offense. 29th in roll man efficiency, not good. 3rd percentile, 8th highest frequency. Again, they're running a lot of these pick and rolls. A lot of the bad teams run a lot of pick and rolls. I think Charlotte was the top team. There's a lot of bad teams towards the top because it's simple. Every level of basketball runs the pick and roll. These young guys can do it. So they run a lot of it, but then they're just not good at it, is the big problem. 25th in post-up efficiency was actually their strong suit on offense. 22nd frequency, 17th percentile. They're giving the ball to their bigs. They were not great at it, though, but they gave them the ball a little bit. And then 30th in isolation efficiency, with 14th highest frequency, 0 percentile. Worst team in the league at that. Surprisingly solid at offensive rebounding. They ranked third. Worst three-point percentage in the league. 20th in attempts in three-point percentage. 26th in pull-up three percentage. Not good. 19th in pull-up three attempts. Again, just not many of them. Do you want to talk about their offense before we get into their defense?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just kind of a bad offense, or not kind of a bad offense. It was a bad offense. Um, we saw it, Scooter Henderson did not end up being the prospect that a lot of us thought what he was going to be. We really lacked a lot offensively, which ended up hurting them because they thought that they were going to get a lot better. Um, Production from him, just like a lot of guys that just haven't worked out in the league for a while. It's just a kind of just bad. It's just a really bad team. I really don't know what much else to say.
Yeah, we'll
I
get
mean, you had
into it in this.
Matisse Thybulle starting some of your games, most of your games. Like I think that should pretty much uh, tell you how bad your team is.
And if you want to look at, say, the Pistons, for instance, you could tell this season Cade Cunningham was really held back by the lack of shooting on that team. Portland was a worse shooting team, and Scoot Henderson was just thrown into that. And he was learning the game while having a really shrunk floor on him. Just not. This was not a situation that you wanted to develop a rookie guard in. Um, just, I don't know, really bad. And a lot of that has to do with them not knowing that they were going to go into a rebuild until August when Damian Lillard got traded. But just not a good situation to build your young players up from. On the defensive side of the ball, they were a little bit better. 27th in transition defense, still not very good, but the highlights for them: 11th in pick and roll defense, ball handler defense, 12th in frequency, 66th percentile. They had a lot of young guys who actually did step in. A lot of these younger athletes, again, there's still guys like Matisse Thybulle that you mentioned there. There's some veterans like Malcolm Brogdon. Robert Williams didn't ever play for them, but he was there, like guys who know how to play the game, could teach these fundamentals to their younger guys who are good athletes. They were solid pick and roll defense wise. Roll man defense actually wasn't good though. 27th in roll man defense, 26th in frequency, 10th percentile. They really sucked there. A lot of that has to do with the guy manning the middle, who we'll talk about him in the scheme section too. And then 27th in post-up defense, 25th frequency, 10th percentile. Again, they're not stopping people in the post. They suck there. And 9th in isolation defense, 11th in frequency, 72nd percentile. Again, good athletes. They were getting, they were doing a lot of stuff. They're good athletes for it. The problem is they're not limiting the easy shots, the high value rim shots. Just not a good defensive team. 10th in 28th in defensive rebounding. They were not securing possessions either. So I'll let you go ahead, talk about their defense if you want. You can shift to scheme talk as well if you have any key points there.
I mean, I guess we should just go ahead and talk about DeAndre Ayton defensively. I mean, they play drop coverage, but he might be one of the most lazy players I've ever seen, which is unfortunate because he's very talented. But yeah, I mean, just with this defense, Aiden plays drop coverage. That they have the ability to switch. This team is not very good. They're just not very good guarding. They don't have those individual defenders, like you said, that make up a good defense. They just don't have that, and it's just bad.
And a lot of their better defenders are like literal guards. Like
Yeah,
those are not guys who individually can prop up a defense. You look at the Utah Gobert teams. The reason those teams could be propped up to top defenses by just Gobert is because he could literally make the most efficient shot in basketball inefficient. DeAndre Ayton makes the most efficient shot in basketball somehow like 10 times more efficient. Not only is he's playing drop coverage because he's big and immobile, but he's also so vertically challenged with jumping ability and effort as well that he doesn't even give you rim protection. Additionally, I should have mentioned in the offensive section, he doesn't set screens like at all. Like he just kind of like lollygags around the guard's
and then
defender
slips it.
and just slips. And it's not a hard slip. It's like the Embiid slip where he kind of floats to the area to shoot a mid-range shot. Except Aiton's never going to shoot those mid-range shots, and Embiid at least does it with like intent to create a shot. Aiton just kind of loafs around. We're kind of shitting on DeAndre Ayton, but it's warranted. He might not have been an NBA caliber player this season, and there was a lot of other stuff. Like this guy just, you saw the report where he didn't want to even get out of bed.
Yeah.
Because there was ice blocking his neighborhood. Just
Yeah, there's a lot of things about. I mean, he never really, ever since he got drafted, he's never really, been the number one pick. Number one pick. Is he the number one
yeah,
pick? Number one. Yeah. This guy's the
ahead of
number one
Luka.
pick. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
horrible work ethic. Like I don't know. And there was so much stuff with him in the Suns ownership as well. And then for him to just get out of the Suns situation and get a fresh start for a team in Portland that would have, like, they would have really cared to develop him because he was the key piece of the Dame trade. He didn't even give a shit to a team that clearly would have at least liked him to be good. And I don't know. I'm really thinking that his NBA career is over as soon as his contract expires. That's how he's tracking right now. Coaching as well. They played one big, two wings, two guards, basically every time. That's the only takeaway there. I want to say something here. I don't know. I know he was hired when Dame was the in town, right? When Dame was the star player. But Chauncey Billups, I don't think is the guy for a rebuild because there is no way that DeAndre Ayton should have been able to get away with the fake slip screens that he did, especially from an NBA point guard. Like, not just an NBA point guard, but a long tenured, really good NBA point guard who's developing a bunch of young guards. I don't know if Chauncey Billups is a good coach at this point. Maybe he can prove me wrong, but and maybe that sounds like me shitting on him unnecessarily, but I don't think he's the guy for this rebuild. And for if this was a contending team, I'm not sure yet. He never really got a chance to coach a contender. But hopefully he can teach Scoot Henderson and their other guys the ins and outs of the game at least. If that's all we have on coaching and scheme, because that's all I have.
yep.
Yeah, and I mean they did some nice things for Scoot Henderson, but to at least help his development, and he's the guy we brought up the most. Let me see, how many games did he start this season? He only started 32 games this season, right? Like, are we prioritizing our youth, or are we trying to win games with this horrible roster? I'm not sure. I don't know. That either way, we'll go forward to our off season. Because I thought they had a solid off season. Basically, the keynote of their off season is going to be the draft. Like I had mentioned before, they fell in the draft to be 7th overall pick. They selected Donovan Clingan. Do you want the floor on Donovan, or do you want me to go on it? Okay. Um, basically, I think Donovan Clingan's already their best center. Um, this he's a 7'1", really tall, really strong, really long player. He's going to be a drop big in the NBA, although I think he has some flexibility there. He's going to be a drop big. He's going to be a really solid roll and lob catch guy, and he can really pass the ball a little bit. That's kind of it for his game. Overall, I had a top 5 grade on him just because I think the ceiling is an all defensive caliber player. This was a really weak draft. I said top 5. I don't actually think I was top 5 on him. I think I was around 6, 7 where he went. But yeah, he rose a lot late in the draft cycle because UConn won the championship. Uh, I didn't see him in that top 2 to 3 range. Is what I'm trying to get at here. But I think this is a great pick. It basically matches exactly what they didn't have last season. Excellent rim protector. What do you have? What did you have on Donovan Clingan?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, excellent rim protector. He had 2.5 blocks last year. Um, and he's a really good screen setter, which we talked about. Aiden is not. Uh, yeah, he is a really. I mean, he doesn't really have a jumper. Like he can, but it's really really slow. His mechanics are kind of off in that area. But he's really good down low in the post, really good just NBA big. So I like it.
Yeah, and the big thing with Clingan that I liked is I thought that, hey, maybe y'all should get Dan Hurley to be your head coach, but he ended up staying at UConn.
Yeah,
Whatever. Either way, this is the type of pick you need to start getting things going, I think. Additionally, talking about getting things going, we'll get into their additions and subtractions. The key one, obviously, being Denny Avdija, or Avdia. I've said his name a million different ways since he's been drafted. Um, they traded the 14th overall pick, later became Bub Carrington, a future first in Malcolm Brogdon for him. Um, how I would like to describe this is they're now fully opening up the playing time for Scoop by trading Brogdon, and they're bringing in a guy in Denny who I think really brings a lot to this team. I think this is a great trade, and additionally, Denny is on the first year of his rookie scale extension. Um, 55 million over 4 seasons. It's descending. It starts at 11% the cap, which is crazy affordable, and it gets down to 6.5%. And that's none of that even has to do with Denny as the basketball player. What I just said, and all of those are great things. He was the only positive, or he was on. He was the key piece in the only positive net rating Wizards lineup last season, as the key point I had made in the Wizards episode. And this team was similarly as bad as the Wizards last season. I think Denny's a great piece to at least help you figure out what you have with a lot of their young players. Because as of right now, I'm not. They probably don't even know what they have with a lot of these guys. So Denny's a great piece for that. You're a Wizards fan. I'll let you get the floor on Denny.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Denny Avdia was probably one of our best players last year. Oh wait, am I good now? Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah,
Okay. Denny Avdia, probably one of the best players in the Wizards last year. He really brings really good defense. I don't know off the top of my head how he's viewed around the league as a defender, but I think he's one of the better defenders in the league, or not better defenders, but he's definitely above average. Really good defender. He showed a lot of playmaking ability, or not playmaking, scoring ability last year with the Wizards. He got a bigger role, and he really proved that he could take on that role. Um, He's a good rebounder. He's really good at scoring around the rim. His 3-point shots opening up. It's gotten better since he's got drafted, in my opinion. 37% last year. Really good. I mean, I think I think he's going to thrive here because he's going to be told like we need you to be aggressive, something that he hasn't really done in his career. It's going to be interesting to see Denny Abdia really get a chance to thrive. I mean, he did in Washington, but I don't know. Maybe the change of scenery will be good.
Yeah. I think the book on Denny is that he is a very good defender around the league. He's very versatile defensively too. The Wizards just kind of deployed him on anybody defensively, and I think that's something that they're going to really like here in Portland. With some of their primary scorers being guards that aren't too great athletes on the defensive side of the floor, I think they're going to really like Denny's ability to just kind of put him anywhere, especially still having Jeremy Grant as their true power forward. Um,
I like
you
Grant.
have, yeah, there's a good bit of switchability with their team. Um, Denny's a great move. Hopefully, he can develop as a shooter, and I think his passing ability is really great too. And that should hopefully just at least help the offense open up a little bit for their younger players. To finish up their additions, Henry Drell, two-way player they signed. Devontae Graham, because they just love these pull-up shooting guards. They brought him in, and then Bryce McGowan's just kind of an NBA shooter. Played for the Hornets last year. He's whatever. If you go to their losses, Ibu Baji, two-way player, they lose. They sneakily had a ton of players play for them last season. Malcolm Brogdon, we already mentioned. A good NBA player, but they're not in a situation to want a ton of them. Moses Brown, the definition of a third big. Ashton Higgins, another two-way player, and then Taze Moore, another non-NBA player. So, not too many significant losses. I think, overall, a solid offseason. Going forward into the next couple seasons, we're really looking forward to can they develop their young players is what we're looking for, and continue to draft guys. To start, because I had mentioned it to you before, but for the fans, usually we talk about the advanced lineup data. There's nothing to make out of the lineup data from these extremely bad teams. So we're going to more individually talk about the players. We'll start with the guy we've talked about a ton, Scoot Henderson. How do you temperature-wise feel on Scoot Henderson right now?
On my feel on Scoot Henderson,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, man, it's too early. Too early to put all these labels on him. Um, I think he still has the capabilities that we saw him have with the G League Ignite. Um, like you said, just thrown into a shitty situation as a guard you when you have guys that you need guys around you that aren't shooting and making the ball, and when your strong suit isn't really shooting, Scoot Henderson, athletic guy who likes to get around defenders and go to the rim. When you have the ability to kind of stuff that paint a little bit, it kind of takes his game away. Um, he started off really bad shooting the ball from three. He ended up with 32%. Obviously that's not great, but I think that can only improve. Let's just wait on Scoot Henderson. I think he's going to turn out to be a good NBA player.
Yeah. I feel very similarly. Like I said, the main thing with Scoot that you liked was his ability to operate in the pick and roll. He had probably the worst starting center in the NBA. Probably. At least in the pick and roll game, he had the worst starting center in the NBA. And then just no shooting around him whatsoever. And he only started 32 games. On Scoot last season, after the All-Star break, he started 16 out of their 19 games that he played. He was hurt a little bit there. His shooting efficiency got better, at least. He went from 31% to 35% from three. From the field goal range, he went from 37% to 40%. Again, still pretty bad efficiency, but he at least showed improvement. I'm more concerned about the jump shot from the three-point stand base. Going into the draft, he had decent. Like, he had tough attempts. The form looks really wonky, if I had to be honest, but his mid-range shot looks fine, right? Pull-up mid-ranges, he looks very fine in that area, and he's really good getting to the rim. Um, just looking at the film of his game, it looked like a rookie guard. I'm not too concerned yet. If you were to come out next season and look overall the exact same as he did last season, I would start to have some real concerns with Scoot Henderson. Um, Next, unless you have any more Scoot comments. Okay, I do want to say one thing. I'm a little concerned about his playmaking ability as of right now. It didn't look very good right away, but we'll see. He's a rookie guard trying to figure stuff out. And then
Yep.
defensively, I don't know. He looks lost. He's on a bad team. You don't find out what players are defensively until they're on good teams. So, Shaden Sharp is their next player that I kind of want to highlight here. I'll give you the floor on Shaden if you have anything super big on Shaden.
Yeah, really athletic dunker, right? I think he was in the dunk contest last year, right? Or
Yeah,
in a previous year.
he had he has the highest route in NBA history. I think he's at 49.
Yeah, yeah. So really, really just athletic. He had 15.9 points per game last year. He can create his own shot. I really like his defensive potential. A lot of good stuff. Just a good wing slash guard that they have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then like I'm probably more high on Shaden than a lot of people. I think the shot's real with him. It looks good. His ball handling could use a little bit of improvement, but I don't think it's as bad as like I expected it to be coming out of the draft where he didn't play in college. He's an unreal athlete, and I think that should really help on the defensive end. It's just as of right now, it's not going to show up on this horrible Portland team. And I believe in the scoring capability because of the tools with the athleticism and the shot ability, and then I hope that the athleticism can translate on defense. One interesting note I had on Shaden, in 2023 with Dame's last season, Shaden had a negative 8.5 net rating, and then Dame had a 1.96 net rating. So, Shaden was not a very good player. Dame was just, and by net rating standards was all right. When the two played together, they had a combined net rating of 5.19. So clearly Shaden can play next to other guards. I'm going to pull up the numbers for the other guards on those teams, but Shaden clearly can play next to a high level guy in Dame. For them right now, it's just trying to make it to where Scoot Henderson can get to that level. Maybe not the Damian Lillard caliber level, but get to that high level as a lead initiator. So I'll pull up the with Dame on stats to see what their other guards look like. So Damian Lillard. And my lord, Blazers fans know half of the league at this point with how many players they've had. Yeah. So Anthony Simons with Dame in 2023 was a negative 0.6. Josh Hart was a 4.4. And like I said, Shaden Sharp was a 5.2. Thibault 0.3. Trent Wofford is a 2.2. Right, so like he played the best with Dame as far as with their other guards goes. So I do really like the skill set with Shaden. Other players on this team, because there unfortunately are other ones. One of their more popular players I've seen him in a lot of trade talks. I think maybe he's getting a little overvalued. I mentioned to you off camera that I don't like doing hot takes, at least in these episodes. Maybe in the in-season episodes, we will probably do a lot of those. But Anthony Simons, what's the feel on Anthony Simons?
Well, I love Anthony Simons. I liked him ever since he broke out on the scene. Um, I mean, this is a really, really good 3-point shooter. 38% last year. I don't know, when he first came on in the league, I thought that he was like Dame just because of his 3-point shooting ability. But yeah, he can create his own shot. Probably the best scorer on this team. Maybe Jeremy Grant, you want to say? I can see the argument there, but I think just get you a bucket. Anthony Simmons, one of the best players for them. I mean, he's more proven than Scoot. I like him. I mean, he's young too, right? Anthony's young. I'm sure he's in
He's
part
the
of a
youngest
rookie
player in this
extension.
draft.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so he's 25.
I really like Anfree. I mean, I think they should really focus him as a centerpiece for the future. Because I mean, he's already proven that he can be an NBA player. Uh, and I don't know if the Trailblazers were that good when he was on the team when he first came onto the scene. So I don't know if he really knows how to play on NBA, good talent. But I don't know. I like Anfree a lot. He's one of my favorite. He's one of my more liked players on this team.
Yeah. So he came into the league on the same year that Dame did the wave to Paul George. He came on that team. I think I'm probably a little more low on Anthony Simons. I think he's a good player, but I don't think a team can build anything significant around Anthony Simons. I think he's a lot closer to that Tyler Hero, that range of player, that Tyler Hero, Emmanuel Quickly range of player than a Tyrese Maxey or those type of players that I think Blazers fans probably want him to be in. Great player, a solid scorer. It's just he doesn't have the playmaking ability, right? He will get a good bit of assists because he's a point guard in the NBA or shooting guard sometimes, but he's going to get a lot of passing opportunities. 5 assists this season, to 2.5 turnovers. Again, not bad, but previously it had been around 4 to 2. 4 assists to 2 turnovers. A 2 assist to turnover ratio is actually solid. But his actual ability as a passer kind of caps out as, oh shit, I'm getting double teamed. Move it around a little bit. Like he just lacks as a passer for me. His ability to control the ball, I think, is solid, but he doesn't have enough high-level reads for me to say that he could be built around. Additionally, his scoring efficiencies, it's solid. His true shooting percentages the past couple seasons have been pretty good, but I don't think that there's a lead of the offense guy in Anthony Simons if you were to just juice up his attempts. And I think he's a great trade candidate. I think Orlando would love this guy. That's how I feel about Anthony. I just... And he doesn't fit next to guards, too. They wanted him to do the next to Dame thing, like they did with CJ, but there's a reason it didn't work.
Yeah.
Just, like, he's worse than CJ McCollum, Like, he's still a good player, but I don't know. Other players on this team, Chris Murray, almost plays. He's a worse version of his brother, is basically what he is. We'll talk about Keegan in the Kings episode. I think Keegan's a great player. Chris Murray, additionally, he was a first rounder last season. Really interesting player. He can shoot a little bit. He's 6'8". He can defend a little bit. Ryan Rupert, he was a early second last year. He played I think he played with. Did he play with Wemby and Bilal? I think he did. I know he was a French prospect. I might be making that up. He didn't do much last season, but he could be interesting. Jabari Walker could be interesting.
Robert Williams. I'm gonna say it. I think Robert Williams is very interesting.
I
Do you not?
I
Do you not agree?
agree. I agree.
I was about
I
to. I
thought,
mean, do we not forget this man was one of the best Celtics centers last year, or whenever he was on the team for them.
yeah,
Do people not forget that he was one of the best centers on a top 5 team in the East?
the issue with Rob has always been health. When he's healthy,
Yeah,
he's always in that tier 3 center where it's like this is a good starter. We like having Rob. Um, not sure how much he fits on Portland, but he's there for now, and hopefully they can get something for him on the trade block. And then Tamani Kamara, he was actually a really interesting rookie last year. Was an excellent perimeter defender. Um, I'm not so sure about his offensive game. I'll pull up the numbers on his shooting because that's the big thing.
33%,
Yeah.
33% from 3 and 45 from the field. So,
How do you spell Kamara? Oh, I found it. Oh yeah,
Camara.
yeah. 76% from free throw isn't too bad. We'll see on Tamani Kamara. He should at least get minutes for them, hopefully. Do you have any other players you want to highlight?
I mean, I wanted. I mean, I was gonna. Robert Williams was the one I said. I guess
Yeah.
that's gonna be my guy. I really wanted to highlight. I mean, this guy's really good. Um, I mean, I'm just looking at the centers right now, and I don't see how you can really start Aiden.
Hell no. Let's
But
start
like, aren't they
DeAndre.
not? But are they not paying him a shit ton of money?
Oh yeah, okay. I did actually want to mention this because I pulled up their cap situation. They're paying Aiton, Simons, and Grant a combined almost 80 million, or a combined almost 90. So yeah, those are a bunch of guys who are definitely not a part of the future here. At least for me, I don't think Simons is. You can argue if he is or not, but if he is, I think he's as a sixth man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Grant, they're getting 32. Aiton, 34.
34. Yeah.
Simons, 25. Right? Like, just a ton of money to guys who they were paying because of Damian Lillard or because they traded Damian Lillard and got Aiton in return. Just really a chaotic cap situation. There's so much more years on that Aiton deal, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see a world where you can start Aiden, but are you gonna bench a guy that you're paying the most amount of money to? And he has
Actually,
it's not like his last year.
Actually, this is his second to last season, so they could just.
I mean, I think if they do it, he requests a trade, and they wouldn't care, but I think that's just realistically what happens. Yeah.
Are the Wizards gonna trade Jordan Poole for him?
Hell no, we got Jonas Valanciunas, bro. We don't need him. We don't need his bum ass. We got Jonas Valanciunas. Come on now.
I think that says a lot about where DeAndre is. We have Jonas.
Yeah, true. We have Jonas Valanciunas.
Oh no, not a. Yeah, we'll get into the lineups and predictions. So Scoot, do we keep Simons in the?
I'm keeping Simons.
Probably, I would agree. Yeah. Scoot, Simons, Sharp. Keeping the S's, triple S's.
Who are you gonna go at power forward?
Oh,
Denny.
But they just got Denny.
Yeah, you gotta get. That's why I was saying Denny.
So wait,
Denny, Grant,
See, because my
Klingon, Williams.
I think they'll start. I think they'll start.
I think they'll start Aiden.
Oh, dude, I was thinking they start either they start Klingon right away, or they start Williams till they can trade him, and then Klingon will start. That's how
The
I
only
kind of
reason
feel.
I'm saying Aiden is just because of the money. I think that I like Klingon starting to get the experience off the bat, and I like Williams starting just because I think he's better. Uh, I don't know. I think Aiden should probably be the third big in this rotation. Yeah.
I kind of agree. I think from what I feel about Klingon, like I'm not super high on Klingon, but like I still think he's going to be a really good NBA player. Like I think right away he might be better than DeAndre. And Robert Williams, at least, here's the thing with Robert Williams, though. Like, a lot of his ability in Boston was how athletic he was. The injuries, he hasn't played much since he's had a ton of these injuries. They could zap that a little bit if that really is a thing. Like, if that really zaps his athleticism, he might be just kind of a backup big, but even
Yeah.
that might be better than DeAndre.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm high on Williams because I mean I saw him. Whenever I saw him play against the Wizards, he was just really good.
Dude, he was awesome on Boston.
Yeah. So I mean this it. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird lineup because like
Are you going to bench Scoot or Shaden?
well no it
Like,
sucks, but it's like I mean Grant's gonna give you 20 points a game. Anthony Simmons is gonna give you 20 points a game. Avdia's can probably give you 18 to 20 points a game. So you're gonna have like three guys. I mean, I could see three guys scoring 20 points a game on this team. Is that crazy? Yeah. You probably don't see it, but I mean,
I mean,
I could see it.
I don't really. Points per game is interesting because somebody's got to score. Um,
Right? I mean, shit. The Wizards had that. They're mid three. Kuz, Beal, and
Kuz,
Porzingis
yeah.
all average 20. I mean, Jeremy Grant always averages 20. Anthony Simmons averaged 20 last year. They both averaged 20 last year.
Jeremy Grant is a sneaky, like
He's good.
he's sneakily both a tank leader and a good player on a championship team.
No, yeah. No, he's a tank leader, but he could definitely I think any team would be very happy to have Jeremy Grant
Yeah, just not for
because
it's
he
gonna be
can
hard because of the money, but like a lot of teams would like
oh
Jeremy
yeah,
Grant.
well yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like Jeremy Grant's a good player on
Yeah,
this team. I don't know. Yeah, sorry, I just want to throw that out there. I was saying, like this team's ass, but I think that they're going to be better offensively.
I think their starting lineup's kind of fun.
Yeah,
Like I think
agree.
no matter how you, like if you, I want Scoot to start right because why the hell? Think about it this way, like how what did you tell me about Scoot a while ago?
Hmm. What?
Comparatively to his draft.
Oh, that it's great. It's just completely different, right?
Or yeah, okay. Well,
Just refresh my memory. I obviously don't
I
remember.
think I think you had told me like you didn't believe he was better than Wemby, but you thought that like maybe he could have gone over
Oh,
Wemby, right?
yeah. I was on that Scoot hype train, cause remember when he played? It was because when he played against Wemby, he did so well, and
Mhm.
he, and I was like, all right, we saw him go up against Wemby, we saw him perform well, like even so, I was like, shit. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously it's not gonna happen, but yeah, I mean, he obviously did not look like a player that was even close to that last year, even close to being taken over Wemby.
And like he was definitely not even a top like 15 rookie last year. Um, I just I never was as high as consensus on Scoot last year. Like in the draft process, I thought it was either way. Scoot, Brandon Miller at 2, and a lot of the debate was, "Damn, why would you take Brandon Miller at 2? Scoot's a generational guy." I just thought he was
Mhm.
a like if Scoot was in this draft class, he would go number 1. This past draft class
Yeah.
as a prospect. Um, I'm not too like we mentioned this. We're not too out on him right away. Darius Garland was a horrible NBA player his first year. Darius Garland's awesome. So, yeah. Um, I would want their starting lineup to be Scoot, Shaden, Denny, Grant, Klingon.
So you think the future is Shaden, not Amphrey, pretty much?
Yeah, I think that has to do with how I feel about Shaden versus Simons. Because, I mean, Shaden can play next to other guards, is the big thing with him. Simons hasn't really ever been able to do that. So, and like, obviously, you want Grant and Denny on the floor because they provide the spacing for Scoot. If we can just get spacing around him for most of his minutes, then we'll be able to determine how good he's going to be. Pretty much. Just let's figure that out. Other than that, that kind of sums up the minutes or the
Lineup
lineup
debate.
stuff because they're gonna play a ton of guys next season that aren't NBA players. Thibault should get traded too. Get him on a good team. I want to see him on a good team. He's improved as a shooter.
You think he's still good?
His shot's gotten better.
Yeah,
Thibault.
34%.
Yeah, his shot's
Three.
gotten better.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he still has it. I don't think he can. I don't know if he still has the contribution.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he does. I think Thibault was really good back in Philadelphia. I just don't think he still has the same defensive. Like, he's still a good defender, but he's not that locked down.
Yeah, and maybe I think some of that's also because we haven't seen him on a good team in a while. I want to see him on a better team. And It doesn't have to be a crazy team. Maybe he gets bought out and the Lakers sign him and he's just awesome there. Hopefully something like that happens.
Yeah.
Other than that, predictions, do we think they got better? Do we think they
Yes.
got worse? Or do we think they stayed the same? Okay.
I think they got better. I mean, I really don't think you can get worse because you brought in. I think Denny Avdia is better than Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah, especially just like from an age standpoint. Brogdon's kind of on the outs age wise. Avdia is starting to enter his prime. So yeah.
I don't think they quite got better yet. I think for what they need them, like if Brogdon was their number one kind of player last season, like creator wise, not number one because they had Simon still, but like I feel like they've at least set themselves up to be better later. I feel like they just I don't know, nothing can be worse than 8. I don't know. I feel like they just kind of stayed the same, and we'll probably see that in their rankings in the West review episode. Yeah, I don't know. Although I mean I love the Denny edition. I think it's fine. I forgot to mention their picks. They got a pick and 2 swaps from Milwaukee for Dame, and then they already used one of their picks from Boston, and I believe they didn't get another pick for Drew Holiday. So hopefully Portland can do some stuff at the deadline. I'm sure we'll talk about them a little bit once the deadline approaches for trading a bunch of guys. Other than that, do you have any closing comments on Portland Trailblazers?
Nope.
All right, so, yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Next episode, we know for sure will be the Utah Jazz. That should do it for the Northwest Division, unless there's a secret 7th team in there.
There might be.
There might be. When I was doing it last night, because I was trying to figure out what we did wrong, I was counting Phoenix in this division too. So
Good.
I had 7 teams in this division. But yeah, we'll see y'all in the Utah episode.